Okay, going live. Alright, you should be able to see my screen now. Yes. Okay. Alright, so far I posted a couple assignments, alright? I think for 157 you should be done by now with this one. You're supposed to decide what your website is about and stuff. That should be done now, because now we gotta start making the wireframes and then making some prototypes or mock-ups. So this should be done. Remember, you just need something that looks like this. Very simple. Goal of the site is to sell a product, blah blah blah. So you're deciding what your website is for, and then telling me what it's for, who the target audience is, what kind of site is it? Is it going to be dynamic or static? And then what do you think you'll be using to build the site? And then for 156, I showed you how to use Photoshop to do this. Creating a spinning coin. I don't know why I was gonna say joint. And then I also I showed you how to make a GIF and an MP4 with Photoshop. But in case you don't have Photoshop, you can do it with HTML and CSS. And I know the HTML CSS part might have been hard to follow last time, so I'm gonna go over it again. I also made instructions. But I'm gonna start off with 157 today. In the meantime, I'll leave the instructions on how to do this. See if you can do it with these instructions. Which I should upload. Okay, file, export. What's this? Yeah, okay, let me replace this one. File, export, assignment 1, PDF, range 2, 1 to 2. Yeah, because this is the other one. Okay. There it is. Alright, so the first part is the Photoshop instructions, and then page 2 is how to do this with HTML and CSS. And I pretty much wrote all the code that you're gonna need, so you could pretty much copy paste all of that. I even gave you the keyframes, what you should put for that. Add keyframes to create the animation. I don't know, try to like go through it step by step, and then I'll get back to you and we'll do it again together. This time though, I want to use, instead of scale, I forgot there's a rotate, and then we could rotate in the 3D axis too, so I could use rotate instead of scale. But whatever, it's the same thing. Anyways, we'll get back to that. Let me upload this to OneDrive so you guys have it. Delete. There you go. Okay, so let's start off with 157. So 156 people with the coin animation. Try to follow along the instructions that I just uploaded on page 2 if you didn't already do it. And then so today I'll be asking you guys in 157 what your ideas are so far. Okay. So who's in 157 again? We have Alvin, Jorge, and Paul. Okay, Alvin, Jorge, Paul. What have you guys come up with so far to create a website for? Actually, did you if you uploaded the assignment, I guess I could just look at it if you uploaded it. Let me see if anyone uploaded anything to Google Classroom. Oh, I didn't even assign anything, so how could you? Oops. Alright, so assignment 1 was planning website instructions. I should just upload the instructions. I guess I never saved it. Okay, that doesn't work. Due date, let's just say tomorrow. Topic, no topic, okay. Alright, so you should have got like an email or something saying your assignment was assigned. And oh, this is both classes, so let me clarify. This is for T157 assignment 1. And then we have WST 156 assignment 1, which is coin animation. Do let's say Saturday or Monday. Okay, so now your instructions are on Google Classroom and you got due dates and stuff. Alright. So Paul, Jorge, you guys didn't upload anything? No? Alright, so start with Alvin. Could you tell us what kind of website you're planning on making? Any ideas? Like, is it gonna be e-commerce? Or is it gonna be like a blog or Paul since you're typing? Okay, there you go. Static website displaying photo work of photographer. Um, yeah, I remember you did some photography. You showed it before, I think. Okay. Alright, yeah, so that would be static. I guess there's no reason to make that dynamic, right? You're just gonna be, it's kind of like a portfolio. Alright, so if it's static, then that means it's gonna be easier, and you can pretty much use anything like Wix or Weebly or WordPress. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't see how anyone's gonna make a dynamic website. Um, yeah, well, you could pretend you're gonna make one. We're not actually gonna, um, if it is gonna be dynamic with like logins and stuff, you don't have to actually do all that, but you can at least put the dummy stuff there for in case in the future you add on to it. Because to actually make a dynamic website, that involves a lot of extra um, JavaScript and stuff, or PHP, and it's a little too advanced. But again, you don't have to actually. I mean, if you're making a website for e-commerce, you're going to be selling something like that friendship light bulb that the example that I gave you guys, long distance friendship lamp. We could still design it and build all the static stuff and just have placeholders for things that will be dynamic. Okay, so don't let that stop you. Um, Anyways, I was hoping you guys would have picked something by now and done that simple assignment, but we still gotta move on to talk about some other stuff today. Because there's not much to talk about with planning a site, right? I mean, we could look at some examples. So let's see if there's any photographer portfolios. Photographer website. Let's try this first link. Okay, no, not. Never mind. It's website builders. Tai Chan Photography, LA headshot photo sessions. Okay, so here's an example of a website for some headshots. Be funny if one of you guys were here. One of the headshots. And yeah, it looks static, right? Well, actually, let's see. Book now. Yeah, it's pretty much static. All that is it just opens up an email link. Anyways, all right. So you could do something like this. This isn't too much work. I think all you have to do is, I forgot how it was exactly, but it's like one line of um, HTML to send out a mail. You just click book now, and you choose your email client that you're gonna use, and it sends an email to book something. I thought it was gonna be a little more advanced, but it's not. So it's not even a form to fill out. Um, well, this is a form to fill out, but this, I'm guessing, probably just sends an email as well. So these usually, I don't know what they built this site with. I don't know if they built it from scratch or they used Wix or something. Can't really tell, cause, well, actually I can't tell. This was made with Squarespace, obviously. Okay, they used Squarespace for this one. You can tell because it says Squarespace right there. So I'm sure Squarespace has some kind of a form template, and then it also probably has the built-in functionality where you click submit, it sends out an email, and then I guess from the details, like the subject line and stuff, it'll just fill it out on the email automatically and give your name and last name and stuff. So yeah, this is probably just an email. You fill it out, click submit, sends an email. Um, so I'm wondering why they didn't use the same method for the booking instead of having this thing. Um, okay, this is simple, I guess. It's not bad. Go to the home page. It's got, is this the home page? Yeah, this is the home page, I guess. Editorial. So examples of their work on magazine pages, I guess. Commercial. Celebrity. I don't recognize any of these people. Portrait. And it's got lazy loading. So you see that whenever I scroll down, the image like sort of fades in. It's called lazy loading, and I'm guessing Squarespace just does that automatically for you too. Headshot. Okay, so this definitely can be done very easily. And Instagram. So Squarespace, I never tried Squarespace before, but I'm glad I saw this because now it reminded me to check it out. So that's one of the builders you can use. And they've got templates that you can use. Photography template. What are your top goals? Get appointments probably, right? Sell services, market myself, showcase. So those are probably the type of things you're gonna want to do. Um, I don't know, we could say growing an existing business. And then it gives us some templates to use. Okay, so Squarespace, again, very simple website builder using templates. I haven't actually created an account yet to see how exactly it works, but I don't know, it's up to you guys. Do you want to waste time signing up for this right now and going through how to do it, or actually we do have to go over at least a couple of these site builders. We've already seen what is it, Wix, in my previous classes before. So how that works, and that one's pretty easy too. We can, but I mean it's gonna be the same thing as Wix, pretty much. Squarespace. I don't know. Let's try it. I don't want to go through the whole sign up process right now, but I guess it'll be quick. Squarespace.com. Get started. Why isn't it giving me the sign up? Continue with Google. Yes, that's easy since I don't have to do any email confirmation. Sample photography. Continue. Add, edit, remove text, images, blah 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 blah. You can customize every section. Let's just dive right into it, see if we can figure it out. Let's get rid of the helper. Let's see if we can figure out without those little helpers. So this is the template that they gave us. We've got pages. We can choose between the different pages. We've got more pages. Pages within the pages. Let's go back to where's the home page? Okay, so design. We get to choose fonts. Style. Change the size. How about changing the actual font to a different font? Let's try custom. Okay, so we choose custom and we can pick a different font, but I'm guessing it's on heading for a reason. You probably have like global styles, like if you want all your headings to look the same. So, but you also have the option to customize it. But it's probably better if we go to leave this on heading, and then there's probably a different place to change what that heading font is. So header, assign styles, let's do right here. So global text styles for all the headings. Let's see, we can change it to something else. Browse all fonts. Okay, say we save it on that. Let's see, what about moving stuff around? Can I click and drag? Okay, no, it doesn't have clicking and dragging. So maybe not as customizable as some of the other builders. Is that all there was in design? Let's see, spacing. Let's reset that. Site margin. Okay, we can, I guess, add more margins around the sides or remove it completely. You want everything on the edges. Let's just reset that also. Let's go discard. Oh, we can choose animations. Okay, I guess you just pick one type of animation and then it adds that to everything. So fade, scale, slide. What did clip do? I didn't understand. Anyways, let's say slide. Slow. Okay. Again, so it's letting you add animation and stuff, but it's just applying it to everything as a whole. Not really letting you customize too much. Image blocks. Text align center, left, right. I guess the images. Oh, that's not changing anything. I don't see anything happening. Maybe a different page. We can't switch from here, can we? Block. So I would take this time to just sign up for a couple of these and mess around, see which one you like the most. You know, if you're not too concerned with customizing stuff exactly how you want, you just want to get um, your website made quickly, and you want it to look decent, you could just pick a template like this and just go with it and not worry about changing anything. The quickest, easiest way to do it. But there are some things you need to customize, right? You can't just, obviously you got to change the pictures. So let's find out how we change these pictures. Okay, so I'm guessing it's not under styles. We probably gotta get out of here, go back to um, not under design probably. Pages. Maybe it is under design. Let's see, edit. Ah, okay, so we can add sections. So we can add a section here. It's got a place to put a heading, and I'm guessing we can remove that. Remove these blocks. Okay, so it's got a block editor just like most of the others. So if I want to add a new block here, I can remove that. Let's see. Well, I guess no matter how much you delete that, it's still going to be available, I guess, just in case you need to add it. But what if we want to add what if I want to add a different one? I don't want to add a whole section, just a single text block. Okay, Okay, it doesn't have right click functions. Okay, that duplicates. We don't want to duplicate. This one. Lets you align the text. Top, bottom, left, right, center. You can make the background bigger or smaller or more custom size. Colors. Alright, anyways, I think I got the idea. It's not bad. It looks like an easy site builder, just not very customizable. Um, I still didn't figure out how to change the pictures though. I'm sure a couple of you at least have used Squarespace before. Maybe you know. We change the pictures. Product items. Image blocks. Okay. I was probably just here under edit. Yeah. Okay, so we just gotta click this button and we can change the picture, add a new picture, we can upload stuff or search for stuff. Say we put something like this at the site. That's not the image that I wanted. We can, that's good, they let you do some image editing. Some simple effects. The reason why you're able to, I guess, do all this is because these are all CSS effects. Well, I know there's blur and shadow with CSS you can add, but the rest of it, I guess, I don't know. Maybe they put a layer on top and add white to it and change the blending mode. Yeah, so it's all possible through CSS, all this stuff. Okay, alright, we got Squarespace. Now let's try a different one. You already know Wix, but let's just go to it since I think I already have an account. Maybe it's this one. What would my password be? Data breach. That's okay. I only use that password for stuff I don't care about. Okay, so Wix. So I clicked on some random website. I said edit this, and it brought me straight here. But let's get out of here. Let's go to. How do we get out of here? Let's just go to the home page. Wix.com. Leave. Alright, yeah, here we go. Some some example sites I was doing for previous classes, I think. But let's start from scratch. Let's say create new site. Let's go with photography again. So again, it's going to give you some templates. Let's go with this one. Okay, so this editor obviously is different than the one on Squarespace. Here we get a different user interface. This one's a little more advanced because you even have like right click. You can right click and it gives you some options. It's a lot more customizable. I could just click something and drag it. Ooh, I don't know why that's getting so big. There we go. Um, you want to change the picture, you just click on it, change column background. That changed that background. This one is a different background. Okay, let's look at if we wanted to add a contact page or something. Let's go to the contact page. Menus and pages. Let's go to contact and close that back up again. We got contact form. We can probably remove these fields, add different fields. Input field title, you can change that if you want. Show initial text. I guess that's just your placeholder text. Placeholder text, name, or first name. Show field title, nope, so you could just remove the name there and leave a placeholder. Right, probably want to change all the other ones too since I did that one. Don't show last name. It would be nice if I could just apply what I did to that to these, but I don't think it's gonna have a way to do it. But anyways, you can customize the form. Submitting it, what happens? So when visitors submit a form, you can show a success message, go to a site page or lightbox, link to external URL, show link to file download. Let's just say show success message. You can also you could make this like a payment submission form, but is it available on the free version? To accept payments, upgrade to an Ascend plan. Alright, so yeah, obviously you have to upgrade if you want to actually accept credit card payments, but let's go back. So how does it know where to send the email? Okay, I don't see the option here, so we gotta figure out where these messages go when you submit. Page background, media, booking pages, map pages. Anyway, so it's not that easy to figure these out. Sometimes when you're good with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, sometimes you could just build it from scratch more easily than having to do it through here. Um, Form settings, that's probably where we gotta go. Collect any type of info from your visitors, view and manage submissions in a table on your dashboard. Okay, so I guess we gotta publish and then we check out our submission table. Where was the submission table? I see. Okay, so if someone clicks submit, you can check your form submissions, and then that's where you'll read all your messages. um, you can also have it send you an email, I think, if we set up email notifications. Who do you want to notify when this form is submitted? Site contributors, and it'll send it to your mailbox. And then I guess it'll show you the whole message once that happens. Alright, so that's how you'd do that. Alright, enough of Wix. Let's try the next easy one is WordPress. And here I'm already logged in, and if you were in my WordPress class, we made this blog. WordPress, sometimes I think it's not the easiest, but just going through Wix and Squarespace, I feel like WordPress still is just the easiest and the best one to use. Also, the other thing about WordPress is it's easy to update, because all you gotta do is um, let's go to my site. All you gotta do is create new pages through the pages thing here, and then all your pages, you can have posts. Say I want to create a new page, just say add new page, and then you can choose different plugins and stuff to like have different website builders. Like you could use the built-in whatever WordPress has, which is, let's start off with just a template here. Use about layout. So they have a block editor, but if you don't want to use the block editor, you can install a plugin and use the plugin as your editor. So that's what's nice about WordPress. And it's easy to let other people have access to it. If you want like someone in charge of your website to update it, you want them to add like blog posts or whatever, it's very easy to do. But all of these, obviously I can't have a tutorial on all the different website builders, because first of all, I don't even know them that well. But if you just mess around with these a little, spend like 30 minutes playing with it, trying to figure out how it works, you'll figure it out pretty easily. There's one more I wanted to go over, which was what was it called? Website builders. The new one. Webflow, that's what it was called. This, so far, I think from all the different ones I've seen, I kind of like this one the most, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I haven't played around with it enough. But from what I have seen so far, Webflow seems pretty cool. I definitely like it better than Wix and Squarespace. Publisher, project, access to editor. Okay. Um, how do I publish? Unpublished, not showcased. Settings, publish. So this is what Webflow looks like. I'll probably when we get to the part where we have to actually build a site, I'm gonna try to do it with Webflow, because I don't know how to use it that well yet, but we'll learn together. And okay, so Webflow, you got this navigator, which is useful. WordPress, one of the complaints I have with WordPress is it's hard to select stuff, because there's things are overlapping all the time. You're trying to figure out like what you need to click to, let's say, edit the space between these two. Well, here you can, click and drag, but probably not a good idea to drag it there, because it's gonna snap somewhere you don't want. So probably not a good idea to do that. But it's got this navigator, so you can click whatever element you want. And let's say I want to add an animation to this, right? Something other builders so far kind of difficult or impossible to do. Just click this, and let's see if I can remember. Go away. We can go here to this one, div block settings, style manager, interactions, page trigger. Okay, so mouse move in viewport. Select an action. Play mouse animation. I don't know if it applied it yet. Let's preview it. Let's click the little eye here. I guess no, we didn't do anything. No animation. It's add an animation. Horizontal mouse animation. Select an element on the canvas, then click plus above to animate horizontal mouse movement. Okay. Let's do rotate. I don't know what this is. Okay, still gotta do more playing around with this till I get it, but anyways, this is the most advanced website builder I've seen so far. Mouse click, flip from left. Okay, I think I was supposed to yeah, first click, flip, second click, flip the other way, flip in, flip out. There we go. Okay, so simple like flipping animation I just added. But let's do flip out, flip in. Never mind. Say grow, shrink. Okay. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just messing around, but you can see I'm able to add some like random animations to stuff. But yeah, we'll get back to this. Right now, we're not at this stage yet. We need to first figure out. We gotta do the wireframes first. I forgot. Your next assignment after the first assignment is to do the wireframes, or not even the wireframes. We still gotta do the visual sitemap. Okay, so visual sitemap is easy. This shouldn't take you guys long either. So the planning should have been done already, but whatever, you should be able to do that pretty quickly and then get this done too. Creating this visual sitemap. And if you want to get it done quickly, just use glue maps, probably the quickest, easiest one to start with. And Venn-Gauge, I didn't get a chance to try it out, but that also seemed cool. But like I showed you last time, glue maps, you just go to the website and you're already in. You can just start right away. Home, about, contact, cart. It's very easy. Create your sub pages, your payment page, which probably leads you to confirmation. Got your contact page, or maybe it would be a support page. And then you don't have to have a separate contact page in there, but why not? These don't have to be crazy complicated. If your site is simple, it's simple. You don't need to have too many of these branches and stuff. And remember, you can change the view of these in case one fits better than the other. Because eventually you're going to save a screenshot of this. That's what you're going to submit. You can just click here to save. Let's try that Venn gauge too, though. I think Venn gauge lets you choose like different styles. But yeah, unfortunately, you gotta sign up and sign in for this one. But let's check out the gallery. What kind of this lets you do all kinds of different style diagrams. Engage sitemap. So they've got templates that you can use. Preview. These are a little more like polished and nice looking sitemaps that you can create. I guess if you're gonna show this to a client and you want to impress them, I guess it's better to do it this way. Or of course you can, instead of using one of these things like Venngage or Glue Maps or whatever there is out there, you could always, if you feel like it, just use Illustrator or Photoshop to create these. The thing is, it's gonna be a little more annoying using Illustrator than just using Glue Maps or something, because you move one thing, then you gotta move everything else, which you'll see what I mean if I make a simple sitemap right now. See, probably gonna want not letter size. Probably gonna want like a web size. Oh, where is it? I guess something wide would be more appropriate than like a piece of paper that's horizontal. But let's pick a new size. 1080 square. No. Web 1920 1080. That's the one. So our sitemap, you can have boxes or you might not want boxes. So I could have a box, and inside the box you could have like the home page. Of course, the advantage of doing it with Illustrator is you can customize it as much as you want. Maybe I want that black and with some white text on it. And of course, we can make that smaller. And also, it helps if you know Illustrator a little bit, so you can, so for example, group this object group, just so it's easier to work with. Make some duplicates. And you want to look nice, we can center these two, and then we can align these. Actually, we can choose the center one. Oh wait, no. Distribute it and align this to this one. Okay, they're not all home pages, but we can just double click to edit these. Let's say, I don't know, products, center that. Support, or I don't know, about. Support. Cart. Cart leads you to, oops, your checkout page. And if you're not sure about these, it's a good idea to do some research. Go to a website that's selling something. I mean, Amazon, for example. You have your cart. From your cart, you can go to checkout. Well, I gotta sign in for all that, but let's try a different site. What's a site that sells stuff that you don't have to sign in? Let's say Apple. They have stuff on sale. Say I want to buy a watch. Click buy. Let's say we want to add one of these to our cart. Pick something. Add to bag. So you go from your product page to your cart. Or to a review page, right? We clicked on add to bag and then one item added to the bag. Review bag. There's all kinds of pages, so just like use some of these popular sites as an example. Also, if your goal is to sell something, you want to make it easy and quick as possible. Apple can afford to make it a little confusing and difficult and complicated because they're a big company and you're gonna go through all that for them. But if you're just a small company trying to sell something simple, I don't think it's a good idea to make it as complicated as this. So you might want to make it a little more simple and not bombard people with add-ons and stuff. Try to upsell. Um, so you get to the bag, review your bag. Tells you what you've picked. We got one of these. We're gonna get two of them. I wonder why it's only letting me pick two. Okay, add Apple Care. Got the sport loop. Got your subtotal, shipping, tax, total. And then you can go to checkout. Alright. Anyway, so So in Apple's case, instead of cart, they called it bag. Just trying to be unique, right? But same thing. Um, so you go to your cart, your products page can have different products on it, and those can also lead you to the cart, but we don't have to show that connection, I don't think. And we can add lines like this. You could also have one going from there to here, because you're from your home page you're able to go to either of these pages, right? So reflect, copy. So this is what I was saying about, doing it through Illustrator. Now if I want to move something, it's like I gotta move this one a little bit, then I gotta move these, and then it kind of gets difficult and annoying to try to move stuff around. But if I was doing this through glue maps, it would just be a lot quicker, easier. But you'd have to stick with that boring look that it has. Not that this is any better, but of course you can change it, customize it, make it look better and stuff. Glue maps. So making that same thing here would be just a lot quicker, easier. Add new pages as much as you want. It'll reorganize for you and it just makes things easier. We can also customize it a little bit. You can change the background colors. So it's not completely uncustomizable. You can change colors. What else can we do? We can change the text color and the font size. You can make it bold or italic. But I guess that's pretty much it. Can't do much else. Yeah, I guess that's about it. But um, if you want a nicer looking one, then there's that other one. What was it called? Venn gauge? Yeah, Venn gauge. But for this one, you're gonna have to make a free account and um, I don't know. We have 10 minutes left till break. Maybe after the break, sometime I might sign up for this and try out the sitemap maker. Any questions? Questions? So 157 people um can finish figuring out what you're making your site about and then create the sitemap. That's assignment 2. So if you just want to quickly get started, go to glue maps or try this Venn gauge if you want something that looks a little bit nicer. I wouldn't recommend doing it through Illustrator though. Unless you, I don't know, you want to make it super custom exactly how you want. But it's just more work doing it through here. Or Photoshop. Photoshop's probably even worse. It's gonna take you longer. So yeah, I'll use one of these. Definitely easier. And you get a nice professional looking thing out of it if you use Venn Okay, how about 156 people? Any luck with the coin with the CSS? Because I'm pretty sure nobody's doing it with Photoshop. I mean, we might be doing it with Photoshop, but it's just more satisfying doing it with CSS, I think. So I'll try to go. I didn't actually follow these instructions myself because I mean I did this after we did it. Well, after I showed you guys how to do it, I just sort of looked at where I left off and just added the instructions. But I might have missed something. I don't know. I haven't confirmed that this is all we need to do. But I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I missed anything. But I'll go through it again with you guys after the break. This time I'll try to use, instead of scale X, we'll do transform, rotate, probably Z. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I don't know. It's pretty easy. And then when we do our second animation, try to figure out how to do that with CSS as well. It should be possible. Yeah. I haven't actually tried it, but what I'm talking about is let me go back to one of my older folders that we did. Was it this one? Yeah, so creating something like this, or these, or this one. So these were done with Photoshop, all of these, but thinking about it right now, it should be possible with HTML and CSS as well, right? We just need to create a few different div elements, give them all like different background pictures. Probably have, yeah, we'll have different background pictures on all of these different images, and we'll put them all inside one box with overflow set to hidden, so anything that doesn't fit inside the box will be hidden. And then we'll probably just animate the image from top to bottom. Have a duplicate of the image so that when it reaches the bottom, it goes back up to the top. I don't know. I'm just getting some ideas right now how it would work. Um, the only thing is, since we don't have, I'm assuming you're not gonna have Photoshop, you can't really create these images yourself. You'd have to get them from online. When I did this, I made these clouds, I think, with Photoshop. And I also did something with the background image that I found to make it seamless so I could loop it. So since I can't do all that, I'm gonna have to try to find images that satisfy our needs for that. So I don't know, hopefully we could get it done. If not, but either way, I'm gonna do the Photoshop version first. Okay. No, you don't have to do both, just one. If you did with Photoshop, you're good. but I recommend at least try one of them with CSS HTML. Unless, I don't know, you were in my web design class, right? So it'll refresh your memory at least if you do it. You'll be better with CSS and HTML. The more you do stuff like this. Plus, using CSS means you're not using like a video file, so it's better for your website. Putting animations on the website, using CSS, they'll load quicker than if you have to upload a video. Because the video is a big file size, but using CSS doesn't increase your file any like stuff that users have to load on their computer. You're just using an image and using CSS to mess with the image instead of uploading a huge file. Anyways, let's take a break. We'll be back like 8:15ish. And that's when I'll go over Photoshop, or I'll go over how to do the thing actually, the CSS coin animation, and then get to Photoshop how to do the next animation. Okay, going live. Alright, so okay, if you're in 157, you know what to do. You gotta figure out what website you're making, create your wireframes, and then after that we'll do, oh sorry, not the wireframes yet. You'll do the visual sitemap using something like glue maps, and then after that we'll do wireframes. After that we'll do a mockup site using probably Figma. It's just for creating mockups. And then we'll start building the site using site builder of your choice. I'll be using what's it called? Webflow, because it's a new one. I want to try it out, and I think it's a good one. So, all right. So that's what you're gonna be working on, and back to 156. All right. So 156 people. I'm gonna go over how to do the animation using CSS. Add keyframes again. So I already did it last time, but let me. So this is the result, but I'll do it again from scratch. This time trying to follow the instructions that I wrote. Except I'll switch the scale to rotate. Okay, so let's start with the first step here. So again, hopefully you guys have Visual Studio Code or something like that. And if you did this with Photoshop, you don't have to do it, but still good to watch, see how it's done. So I've got Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna open it up. And this is React. What changes did I make? Okay, don't worry about this. That's React is a JavaScript framework, but if we had more like programming classes, maybe I would add this to the curriculum because it's If you want to do more advanced stuff besides just plain JavaScript, I think the next step would be to learn Node and React. It's a pretty popular JavaScript library or framework, and the jobs pay good, so good one to learn. But I'm gonna open a new folder. Let's go desktop, new folder. Let's call this, I'll just call it coin animation. I'm gonna select that as my folder. So again, all websites that you create should have a folder, a home directory or root folder. So this will be the root folder. I'll select that, and now it shows me that root folder here, and it's empty at the moment. You can see here it got created. Where is it? There it is. It's empty, but we'll create a new file inside called index.html. Alright, let's try to use the instructions. Make sure they're correct. Where are they at? Where did I put it? There it is. Okay. So create a new folder named assignment 1. Like, okay, I named it coin animation, but whatever. You could name it this. And we're going to create a file called index.html, a folder named CSS, and a folder named images. So I already created index.html by clicking the new file button. Now we're going to need a new folder called CSS. And before you click create a new, because we have to make a folder called images, but after you create a folder, it's going to be selected. And if I click this again, it's going to try to create a folder inside the CSS folder. So click outside of it, and then I click this. So it doesn't put it inside the CSS folder. But even if it did, you could just drag it out. So we have index, images, and CSS. Index, images, CSS. And then I keep losing that thing. There it is. And then we're gonna create a file called styles.css inside the CSS folder. So click on the CSS folder and create a new file called styles.css. Then in the index file, add the basic HTML skeleton. If using VS Code, simply type exclamation tab. So yeah, that's in the index file. So we go to index, exclamation point, tab. And that gives us this basic HTML skeleton or boilerplate. I'll save it. Next, connect the CSS file to index.html by adding the following inside the head section. So we need to add this link type equals text slash CSS, rel equals style sheet, href equals CSS slash styles.css. So I'll just type it here manually. This goes in the head, so you could put it after the title, I guess. Link type equals text slash CSS, rel equals style sheet, and href equals CSS slash styles.css. Okay, I'll give you guys like a minute to do that first part, and then I'll move on. So create a new folder, add the 3 files or index and then the 2 folders. Inside the CSS, add the styles and connect the HTML file to the styles. Alrighty, hopefully that was enough time. Now let's move on to the next step. So after we link our CSS file to the index.html by adding this link, we need to copy or move heads.png and tails.png to the images folder. So let's go. Those two files, heads and tails, you get from this folder. Oops, not this one. So in the assignment 1 folder, it's these two. But I already have them in here, so I'll just move them from here. Here, these two, I'll copy, paste into this images folder. Okay, so in my images folder now I have these two pictures. Next, okay, after we copy or move heads and tails, we need to create a div in the body section to hold the images. So inside body, I create a div, and this is gonna have the images inside. So add two image tags inside that div and set the source attribute equal to those two images. So we create an image tag and the source attribute equal to images slash heads.png, and another one that goes to images slash tails.png. Okay, so now we have our two images inside the div. Right, so now we gotta add the styles, because right now if you look at this, it's just gonna be two big pictures. You can't even see the div. I forgot to mention in here to add a background color to the div so you can see it. But we need to make that div have a width and a height of 200 pixels, let's say. So we do that by saying img. Normally you don't just put image because you might have other images on your web page. But right now I've just got these two images, so I'll just say image. Or sorry, we gotta do the div first. So div. Again, same thing. Normally you don't just say div because it's gonna affect all divs, unless you wanna make all divs have these CSS properties. But you could also give it a class name, so it's only affecting that certain div. This one here, we could say class equals animation dash container, but this is unnecessary, but I'll just do it anyway. So instead of just div, we could say div with class of animation dash container. So you know it's just for that div. And we'll say width 200 pixels, height 200 pixels. We also need margin auto and position relative. Margin auto. Margin auto just centers it. Let me give it a background color too. Even though that's not in the assignment instructions, we'll say background color salmon. I'll do that just so you can see it. Okay, so there it is, the div. You can see it's smaller than the two pictures. But that'll change when we give the images a height and a width of 100%. I also need to add to this div position relative, which doesn't really do anything except this makes it so that when I set the height, when I set the image position to absolute, it lets me position those images relative to that box. So if this didn't have position relative, then it would be positioned relative to the entire page or the browser. So I'll show you what I mean by that. But even though this isn't a CSS class, I'll still show you what I mean by this because I know it's kind of hard to understand what this is for. But I'll leave that there. But the next step is to change the image height and width to 100% and give the position absolute. So let's do that. So we'll say, I could say image again, but this would affect all images, which is fine right now because I only have these two images. But if you want to be more specific, then say div, div with the class of animation container image. So only the images inside this would be affected. So I want to give these images a width of 100% and a height of 100%. And also, well, before I add position absolute, let me show you what it looks like. So one coin is inside, taking up 100% of the height and the width. The other one can't fit, so it's sticking out. It's getting pushed down by the other one. But if I add position absolute, then you can see the other one disappears. It's under this one now, because now it's being positioned relative to the container. And the only reason it's being positioned relative to the container and not the whole page is because this has position relative. If I took this out, then you can see it's like it has 100% of the width of the entire page instead of this div. So that's why I add this position relative. Then the thing is, this doesn't have to be relative. It just has to be something other than static, which is the default. So the 4 positions you can add, or is it 4 or 3? It's static, relative, absolute, or fixed. Those are the 4 possible position values you can use. So when you say relative, it doesn't do anything except if I wanted to use like top 50 pixels later, like you can basically use top 50 pixels to move this down 50 pixels from where it normally would be. So you can see now it moved 50 pixels down. So position relative lets you move something relative to where it normally would be. Absolute positions something relative to its parent. So if this one, if I said top 50 pixels, then the image would move 50 pixels down from its parent. If this was not relative, the parent, if this was still static, then instead of moving down 50 pixels from the top of the div, the image would ignore the div and it would just move 50 pixels down from there. So this is what it would look like. Yeah, so that's why we need all of these. Position relative here, position absolute there. We don't need these though. I was just showing you what that does. Okay. So next, alright, next we need to create the keyframe animation with CSS using add keyframes. Name it something like heads 1 or face 1 at different percentages of the animation, which would be like different points in time. You're going to change the width of the coin image using CSS transforms to make the coin appear to be spinning. Yeah, I said alternatively, but I meant CSS transform scale. Alternatively, you could use transform rotate. So since I did it with scale before, this time I'll try doing it with rotate. You also need to hide the image by changing opacity to 0 when it's flipping to the other side. So you only need to do that to the top image. That's why one of these has the opacity, because we need to make it disappear to show the other one. And this one doesn't have it because it's on the bottom. Okay, so let's do the keyframe animation now. So we say at keyframes and then give it a name like face 1. And then we use percentages to tell it what to do at different percentages of the animation. So we could have 0%, 100%, and anything in between. So at 0%, we want face 1, the top image, to have a transform scale. Actually, we're doing rotate this time. Let's do rotate. We have X, Y, and Z, right? So let's try X first. Rotate X 90 degrees. See what that looks like. And actually, I have to apply the animation to preview this first. So let me show you what this does by not putting it here, but putting it on the image. So transform rotate X 90 degrees. Made it disappear. Okay, hold on. Let's put this, let me set this up so we could see them side by side. Alright, so let me take this off. Okay, there it is. If we do rotate X, rotate X, transform rotate X. So 90 degrees, it seemed to disappear, but I don't think it's really disappearing. I think I just rotated it so that the edge is facing us, so it looks like it's invisible. But if I make it like 45 degrees, there you could see it. Oh, I see. So it's rotating from, like, imagine there's a, what do you call it? Uh, like a line going through here, and it's flipping around that line. So I'll do it like a little step at a time. There's 1 degree, 20 degrees, 50 degrees, 60, 80, 87. Oops, not 870, 87, 90. So you could see why it's disappearing at 90. But let's do 45 degrees. I think instead of rotating around the x-axis, we need to rotate on the y. Yeah, so it rotates this way now. So 45 degrees, but that's just to show you what transform rotate y does, okay? So at 0%, we want to do transform rotate y 0 degrees. We don't want to rotate it at all at first. And somewhere, well, let me just use this as a reference since I did it already. At 25% is the next one. We should do a transform rotate y. Would it be 90 degrees already? Let me see. Yeah, so instead of scaling it to 0.5, we're rotating it 90 degrees, which is pretty much doing the same thing. And then at 26%, oh, at 25%, we also want opacity at 1, so we could still see it. And fraction of a second later, we want opacity at 0. So that's when it disappears, even though you can't see it anyway. But it still has to stay hidden until we want to flip back to that face. So let's look at the code here. At 50%, we'll bring it back to its original position. So at 50%, the transform rotate y will be back to 0 degrees. And from 26 to 50%, it's going to be invisible. So you're not going to see it rotating back to where it normally was. And then at 75%, we're going to bring it to 0.5. So let's see. Transform. Oops. 75%. Transform. Rotate. Let me see if this makes sense. It's going to be invisible this whole time, so I don't see why we're even rotating it. Anyways, yeah, since it's invisible, it's got opacity 0. Probably don't even need this part. I don't know. I'll keep it just because it works. but still opacity is 0 here. And so this is going to be at 0 degrees, right? We're at, no, 90 degrees. And then at 76%, that's when we can see it again. Or opacity 1. And at 100%, transform again, rotate Y back to 0. Okay, let me now that we created this animation at keyframes, we need to apply it to one of the images. Okay, so we need to apply it to each image. This one's just going to be for the first face, and then the second one will just be a simpler version of this without the opacity. So we need to give each image a different class name. So we'll call image 1 heads or face 1. Since I called the animation face 1, I'll give the image a class equal to face 2. I'm gonna do face 2 first and then face 1 because face 1 is the one that's on top, I'm assuming. So whatever you put last, that's gonna be on top. So right now we're seeing tails because it's on top because I put it last. So this should be face 1. Right, because face 1 is the one that I'm assuming is covering the other one and it needs the opacity and stuff. So that's why I'm applying it to the tail side because it's on top. And then now that we gave it the class names, we can target each of those like this. Face 1, we'll say animation. Face 1 is the animation name. And we want it to last, let's say 3 seconds, 0-second delay. We want it to be infinite. Oops. Infinite. Okay, and there you could see it disappear, come back. We also want to do linear so that there's no easing in the animation, it's more linear. So there's no slowing down and speeding up, it's just the same speed. Okay, so it's flipping over, and then that moment where it's disappeared, that's when the other one will be showing. Okay, so now we just need to create or duplicate this, but we don't need any of the opacity stuff, so we can take off the opacity, take this out, and take this one out. And we need to apply this, call this one face 2, and apply it to face 2. And I don't know, doesn't look much different than the other one. Okay, so it looks like it's rotating. And I don't know, can you guys see a difference between that and the original one we did? With instead of using rotate, I used scale on this one. Well, other than the speed, of course, this one's faster. Let me slow this one down. I'll slow it down if I open with, let's just open this with Notepad. Oh, not this, we need to open the CSS. I made the other one 3 seconds, so I'll do this one 3 seconds too. Instead of 0.5 seconds, I'll change that to 3 seconds. And I'll also make it, I'll leave the background color red so we know which one's which. Okay, so this one's using scale. This one's using rotate. I mean, I guess it's the same exact result, whether you use transform scale or transform rotate. Okay, so the most confusing part of doing this is figuring out the add keyframes, like what percentage to rotate it to what or whatever. And as I was saying, there was a point here where the opacity is 0, and I'm rotating it, and then I'm rotating it back. So we can't see it, and I'm rotating it to 0 degrees, and then I'm rotating it back to 90 degrees, but I still can't see it. So I think this whole part was just unnecessary. The only part I think I should keep though is the opacity 0 at 75%. But this seems unnecessary. Let's see if it makes a difference. Okay, I guess I did need that. Why though? I don't understand. Strange. Am I not understanding it right? Let's see. Here, at 25%, we rotate it 90 degrees. At the next moment, it disappears. It's at 0 opacity. At 50%, it's rotated to 0 degrees. But opacity is still 0 at that point because I haven't changed it back to 1 yet. It's still 0 at 75%, where it's back to 90 degrees. Yeah, I don't get why I even needed this step though. Turn that off. Oh, refresh. Oh, I was right, I don't need this. Make that shorter. I don't see why I need this either though. Yeah, this one I do need, which is strange. I still think I probably don't even... I don't understand why I need this, because it's at 90 degrees. It's still at 90 degrees. Oh, I know why. The reason is because it needs to rotate from 90 degrees at 75%. So it's like if I take this out, then it starts rotating to 0 degrees from here at 25%. So it's like slowly going towards from 90 to 0. But by keeping this here, it's like it's staying at 90 degrees until 75%. So it's going from here to here instead of from here to here. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's why we need that. And since I removed that 50%, I guess we don't need this one either. Oh no, we do need this, I guess, because it doesn't. Wait, do we need this? Let me turn it off for a second. Yeah, we definitely need that because it disappears. Alright, so in case you're following along, here's exactly what I did. You could just copy paste this. You should be able to copy paste that, right? Yeah. Anyways, okay, so scaling, rotating, but it looks the same. Now, it would be cool if I could add like a thickness to it, but I don't know how that would be possible because it's just a two-dimensional image, so it's not really gonna have a thickness. Maybe if I give it some kind of border. Let me try giving them a border. If we say for both images, let's give them a border 2-pixel solid. See what that looks like. Okay, no, that's definitely not what we want. Yeah, even the border scales down anyway, even if I did get it to go around the shape, which I could by doing a border radius. 50%. Yeah, the border still gets scaled down, so that wouldn't work anyway. Um, yeah, I can't think of any other way to make it look thicker, so we'll just leave it at that. Any questions on doing that? Of course you do. Yeah, that's index.html. So all I did is add this link here and the div with the two images and the class names. So one of the images, the top one has class of face2, the bottom one has face1, and then in styles, face2 or face1 is the one that's on the bottom here. Face1 has the animation with the opacity, and face2 has the one without the opacity. Doesn't need it. I could copy paste this, I guess. Here you go. Now, to do the other one though, the other animation I showed you, that one might be a little more difficult though. So we'll take some trial and error, I guess, to get it right. Just like this one took some trial and error, figuring out the percentages and stuff. But we'll do it with Photoshop first. Any other questions before we start getting into that second one? Actually, before we do that, we had some other notes that I haven't covered yet. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do a quiz or something. I'm sure there's like SurveyMonkey quizzes we can do. Um, where did I put the notes? Oh, here. Okay, so as far as the notes, we looked at all the different types of image formats there are, what the differences are. So what everything's good for. Those coin images are obviously PNGs, right? Because they've got transparency. I mean, they could have also been TIFFs, because TIFFs can also have transparencies, but they can't be JPEGs. They could also be GIFs, but might look like lower quality, but because they have fewer colors. But yeah, we went with PNG images. With vector files, we have SVG and EPS. We didn't do the coins with vector, obviously, because I used a photograph of a coin. Unless you want to use like a cartoony looking coin, or maybe you could do an image trace on the coin to make it an SVG, but it's unnecessary. SVGs are not good for high detail images. So SVGs, they don't use pixels, uses geometry, different points connected together with curves and stuff. So you could zoom in on a vector and the edges will stay sharp. So it's good for logos, cartoony images, flat images. You could have gradients and stuff, but you can't really have like continuous tones, like going from one shade to another, or like little details in between. So raw image would be unprocessed. That's what you would get straight from like a DSLR camera. I don't think any phones shoot in RAW. Probably not possible with a cell phone. I don't know actually. Is there cell phone raw photo? I guess you can. Anyways, I don't want to get into it, but I guess it's possible you could shoot raw images with a phone. PDF is not really an image format, it's a document format. So it can have, PDF can have a SVG inside, it could have EPS, it could have a GIF, a TIFF, PNG, it could have all of them, it could even have videos, and it can even have video 3D rich media, so you could have like forms in there too. That image resolution, RGB, CMYK. Looked at the color modes. So the only thing we haven't looked at here is all the video stuff. Alright, so A video is a collection of still images, right? So each frame just shows you like a picture, usually like 30 pictures per second. So in 1 second of an animation or film, you're gonna see 30 different pictures, one after the other. Um, so if you had, let's say, a 1 minute video, that's 1800 images. Or for 1 hour of video, that's 108,000 images. So that means, of course, the file size would get huge, right? If one image, like, let's see, let's look at these coin images, for example. It's a small little PNG. The file size for that is 518 kilobytes, or 520, let's say. So for 1 minute of video, you would need, what was it, 1800 pictures, right? Let's go back to the notes. Yeah, 1800 images for just 1 minute of video, right? Because 30 frames per second, 30 times 60 seconds, that's 1800. So 1800 times 520 kilobytes, that's 936,000 kilobytes, which is, let's use a, 960, 936,000 kilobytes to, how many megabytes is that? That's 936 megabytes. So almost a gigabyte for just 1 minute, right? And imagine an hour video. So you coin spinning around for an hour. That's, what is that? That would be 108,000. So imagine, what was it? Just times this by 60, I guess. Am I doing that right? Let's see. 108,000 times 520. So 56. That's 56 gigabytes. If you wanted to show an image of the, I mean, if you want to show the coin spinning for an hour, it would be 56 gigabytes. But obviously, it's not that big, right? When you download movies, they're over an hour long, but they're not huge, like 56 gigabytes. Usually under a gigabyte, even, right? For an, like, maybe not under a gigabyte, but certainly they're for sure not 56 gigabytes, right? So what's the reason why they're not that big? And the reason is because of encoding. In order to keep file size small for videos, they must somehow be compressed. The process of compressing a video is known as encoding. When a video is compressed again after already being encoded, the process can be called encoding or transcoding. An encoded video must then be decoded or uncompressed to play it back. So that's why it's like sometimes you try to play your video in like Windows Media Player or whatever player you have, and it says it doesn't have the decoder for it. Doesn't know how to uncompress it. So how does it do it? Well, it basically looks at each frame. Since, you know, obviously the one frame and the frame after it, if you have 30 frames in a second, all those frames are going to be pretty similar, right? So what encoding does is it just takes, like, if two parts of an image are similar, it basically combines them. So instead of having complete, like, 30 different images, kind of like merges them together. it just looks at the pixels, like it sees, okay, this area and this area has the same color, so it figures out a way to combine it or merge it so that the file size is smaller. So there's different algorithms or different encoding methods. So some will be faster, some will be slower. Some will have lower quality, some will have higher quality. Um, Example of what happens during encoding: several frames of a video look identical, so the data for all but one of those frames is deleted, and the frames now reference that single image. So most recording devices will encode in real time as they are recording and then store the encoded file in memory. So the method or protocol used to encode and decode a video is called a codec. The codec used will determine the quality and size of a video file. A good video codec will decrease the file size while retaining the quality. A container is the data of an encoded video, including the audio and metadata, is structured and packaged into a certain container or format. You can usually tell the container type of a video by its extension. So that's what MP4, MOV, WMV, that's what those are. Those are the containers. The the method used to compress it, though, the codec, that's gonna be one of these, like H.264, MPEG-4, DivX, HEVC, and then so here we've got um, some different video codecs. H.264 is the most common right now. Usually an H.264 encoded video is going to be inside an MP4, AVI, or .mov container. MPEG-4s, I think they're a little bit lower quality. And there's also DivX, HEVC, aka H.265. This H.265 is like an improved version of H.264. You get much smaller file sizes, but still keep the quality. Okay, just might not be as supported. And yeah, these are more containers. Okay, so whenever I saved one of these videos in Photoshop, Photoshop has an encoder, this coin.mp4. So mp4 is the container, and you can't tell from here. Maybe you can, maybe inside the properties might tell you somewhere what it was encoded with, but it should be H.264. Pretty sure that's what Photoshop uses, but yeah, I don't see it here though. But in Photoshop, it asks, that's one of the questions you get when you're exporting a video. Let's let this open. Oh yeah, you guys, our classes are till 9:30, right? So let me know when the sign out question posts. It's almost time to go. But let's say just open something. I guess I deleted all these. New, create. Okay, so pretend I have a video, I'm exporting it. We're doing export. Oh, I guess I can't do render video until I do that file. Export render video. Alright, here you can see format H.264. but we can also use these other encoding methods. And you can also choose like how high quality you want to keep it. So the higher the quality, the bigger the file size, obviously. But yeah, Photoshop doesn't have that H265, it just has the 264. But if you wanted to encode in a different format, you can use Adobe Media Encoder. This is something you'd get with, I guess, the Adobe suite if you were paying the, what was it, $20 a month or $30 a month with the student account. I think you could get this too. But to be honest, it's kind of, Adobe Media Encoder is a little bit slow, and the file sizes are always big for some reason. It's not a very good encoder. Let me just show you an example. I guess I have to get a video in here to be able to show you. Let's can we just drag something in here? Alright, so right now it's set to H264, but this gives you a lot of like encoding options. We can do H264, H264 Blu-ray, H265. Yeah, lots of options here. But if you don't have Adobe, there's free stuff out there like Handbrake. Handbrake is free. Handbrake also lets you encode or transcode. Remember, transcoding is if it's already been encoded, you're encoding it again. And this lets you do so again, MP4 is the container, so it's not really the method. It's just the container to hold the video and all the metadata that comes with it. But to choose the encoding method, let me see. Yeah, so we click on video. We got H264, different types, but we also have H265 here, so that's good. So this Handbrake free software that lets you encode. An example of what an encoder might do for you. Let's see, this one's it's pretty much exactly like 1 megabyte for this video. And it looks like this. We could drag it in here, and we could like encode it again or transcode it using H265 this time. I don't know what the difference is, 12-bit, 10-bit. I'm not sure which one's better, but let's just do this first one. Can quickly start encode, and it saves it in here somewhere. Let's find that. Coin 1. To play this, you need a new codec. So you see, I can't play it with regular Windows Media Player because it's that new format that I told you, H265, which is really good, but not supported. But I do have alternate players, I think. VLC Media Player. VLC Media Player is a free media player you can get. You can see it's playing it. I think the quality is the same. It didn't get much worse, did it? But the file size should be smaller. So this one was a megabyte, the original. This one is 346 kilobytes. So it's like 3 times smaller. And H.265. And I don't know, I think it's the same quality. Oops. Anyways, did the sign out post yet? Or is there a problem with it again? Yeah, okay, it's their sign out. Oh no, that's Friday. Okay, all the dates are messed up. I'm gonna change this to not Friday, but today. Tuesday. Due date tonight. Sign out code is hold on, I forgot. Either 345 or 456. Let me double check. Let me pause this.